How many of you go to the doctor when you're sick, or when you have an injury, or if you have a fever or a pain, or if you just in general need help? Today I'm going to talk to you about an organization that is there when people need it most, Doctors Without Borders. According to Dan Morley, who wrote Healing Our World Inside Doctors Without Borders, this organization offers assistance to populations in distress, to victims of natural or man-made disasters, and to victims of armed conflict without discrimination or irrespective of race, religion, creed, or political affiliation. Not everyone around the world is as lucky as we are to be able to receive health care whenever we need it, especially in a time of chaos. People are suffering every day because of natural or man-made disasters. If we support and donate to Doctors Without Borders, we can help people receive the care they need. The U.S. also has disasters, like Katrina or tornadoes, or different things like that. We just have a better response to them. Most countries are unable to do much to help their people in a time of need. Doctors Without Borders is an organization I have supported for a while now, and that I have done quite a bit of research on. According to the Washington Post, Doctors Without Borders is a rapid reaction group of medical volunteers who have championed and led humanitarian interventions around the world and won the 1999 Nobel Peace Prize. Doctors Without Borders also lets people know when they no longer need their assistance and funding, which for me is a big deal. Both of those things make me want to support them even more. Now let's take a look at more of what Doctors Without Borders does. Doctors Without Borders provides care to those who have experiences in disasters and chaos. In South Sudan, where there has been an escalation of violence due to conflict between the government and the militia, there has been an increase in the need for medical care. And according to the Doctors Without Borders website, in May, the hospital in Sudan was looted and severely damaged, and fighting in the area caused residents to flee into the bush or hide in malaria-infested swamps without access to safe water or food. As the MSF hospital was the only one in the country, 100,000 people were deprived of health care. Thousands of people emerged 25 miles away to attend their small clinic in a smaller village, where teams carried out over 100 consultations per day for patients suffering of pneumonia, respiratory disease, malaria, diarrhea, or malnutrition. Doctors Without Borders was the only organization to respond to this problem, and they're the only organization to respond to many problems around the world. According to the Los Angeles Times, by intervening so rapidly, Doctors Without Borders calls public attention to humanitarian catastrophes. And by pointing to the cause of such catastrophes, the organization helps to form bodies of public opinion opposed to violations and abuses of power. We need to support Doctors Without Borders so they can continue to help those in need when others refuse to acknowledge a problem. By donating to Doctors Without Borders, we can continue to make sure people get the health care they need no matter the circumstances. Accountability is one of the Doctors Without Borders' main goals. According to their website, accountability means that we continuously reflect on the impact of our humanitarian action, that we keep the people who support us informed, and that we are transparent and specific about the costs and benefits of our operations. Doctors Without Borders will keep you informed about how your support is being used. They want people to be able to trust them. They also, like I mentioned earlier, let you know when your funding is no longer needed. And actually, a few years ago, when a tsunami hit in Asia, so many people were like, I want to donate to Doctors Without Borders, but after a while, they no longer needed funding because they had raised enough of what they needed. And so they started telling people to stop donating and started rejecting donations, which actually made quite a few people mad. But I thought it was great because that actually lets them know, like, hey, we're going to use the money as we need it instead of using it for how they want. Doctors Without Borders is an organization that's focused on helping people around the world with your support. The doctors helping in the field are exposed to many different diseases and cases. The doctors who partner with the organization are extremely selfless and oftentimes find themselves in the middle of war. The national CBC television in Canada interviewed a doctor who was on the field and asked her what it was like to be working in a country in the middle of war. And Dr. Joanne Liu, the international president of Doctors Without Borders, says, "It's so much more difficult. I think everywhere we take enormous risks, but the reality is, when I was in Syria, there would be a plane attack and I would hear the plane, and then I'll hear the bomb falling, and then the siren will come on, and the people will come into my clinic and I'll have to take care of them. But that would be that episode. But in the third world, there will be nothing happening. But that nothing is Ebola, and wherever you are, the risk is there, and then so are you in the center, taking care of patients infected with your personal protection. And that's right there in your face. But then once you're out of it, you cannot let down your guard because you don't want to make the wrong act in what makes you infect yourself. So if you touch something, you really don't want to touch your face. I would say that sometimes us doctors are in a bit of a psychosis about it, and that's normal, and we have to somehow fight that. But like one of my colleagues told me, he says it's like being on the front line and having a machine gun shooting at you all the time. The doctors are on the front line just as much as the patients are. They don't hide because they're scared or because they have a chance of catching disease. They're in the middle of the situation just as much as the patient. In the news lately, many of us have seen about the recent Ebola cases in the United States. And the guy who actually had it in New York was a doctor who worked with Doctors Without Borders, and he caught it while he was in Sierra Leone. And according to the Doctors Without Borders website, MSF's priority is to limit the spread of the virus and to stop new cases from occurring by treating people who are already infected and by setting up a detection system to identify, isolate, and treat new cases as soon as possible. The doctors are there just as much as the patients, which makes them stand out from other organizations. By supporting an organization like Doctors Without Borders, you are supporting an organization that is there for people all over the world, when they need it most and when others won't be. Doctors Without Borders provides care to those who have experienced disasters and chaos, whether man-made or natural. By donating to Doctors Without Borders, we can continue to make sure people get the care they need no matter the circumstances. We can also be sure our funding is being used correctly. The doctors helping on the field are exposed to many different diseases and cases and are extremely selfless and oftentimes find themselves in the middle of war, whether it be an actual war or a war against disease. They are a trustworthy organization that is financially stable and accountable. The next time you go to the doctor, think about how fortunate you are and how easily accessible it was to go there, and how not everyone has that luxury.